Hello, guys. Hello. So, I'm back today. This is a reaction slash informative video. So, some of you all yesterday in the live brought up the Newman Foundation, and some people had questions about it. And then I got into the comments, and there were some more questions. So, I just decided to do some digging myself so that I could answer questions in an educated way. Anything that I had said before this point would have just been speculation. I never looked into the matter for myself, so I just wanted to be responsible and make sure that the things that I put out, I can back up, you know. So, yesterday, when you all were asking questions, I really didn't know what to say. Like I said, prior to it being mentioned, I had heard before that the Newman Foundation had closed down. And I was in game, had done some research on IAG farms and had reported that, they were no longer there. So I did know that months back, but I never researched it for myself. So I did a little digging yesterday evening, and this is what I came up with. So I'm going to go ahead and let it start here. There'll be some stopping and starting and me reading, but I'm going to let it start here. So this is the founders of the Newman Foundation. I don't have their names in frame like I should, but this is Tyrone and Felicia Newman. And Tyrone is the husband who was featured on an episode of IAG Farms. So if you watch that episode, you have seen him before. But his wife, I don't think, was shown or mentioned, other than she watched their show. So this is part of their website that they have up. So this is just me, like, setting a foundation for what we're going to be talking about for anyone who may not be familiar with the story. This was them for their grand opening. So I'll get into some history with them here in just a moment. But I just wanted to, share some of their pictures from the success of their business while they were in operation. So clearly they're feeding people here. And this is a scene that we saw in the IAG Farms, one of the clips where they did donate the one time that we've seen them donate. And Tim asked them about this particular table. So I do have some of that footage at the end of this, so we will see it again, but I just wanted to highlight it right here. And they're clearly serving people. We don't know what the occasion is, but it's a food pantry, and they're there for the less fortunate. So I would assume that it's giving back in that type of manner. And this is a day in the life. So this is them being able to serve people. And because, like I said, there will be footage later in this video. So I just want y'all to pay attention to how fully stocked they are. And they have workers, well, volunteers maybe, and then they have the people that are able to come in and grocery shop. And he explained this on the episode of IAG Farms where they donated that one time, and said that they allowed people to keep their dignity, so they would give them shopping carts and allow for them to go around and shop just like in a grocery store. And each item had a limit. They could only get so many of each item, but they still were allowed to go and pick the things that they wanted. So they weren't pre-packaging boxes and just shoving it at people. And that is an easy way for food to go to waste when you give someone something that, you know, it's not always being picky. People are allergic to many different things, so you could be giving them something that's deadly for them because you prepackaged it. So to allow them to go through and pick the items that they know that they will eat and to keep their dignity, I thought it was a really nice setup. And I did do a reaction to this. I don't remember the name of it, but I'll try to tag it in the description box when I publish this. But yeah, so I did cover this before. I'm gonna have to keep adjusting this. It's time for me to get a new tripod. She's don't have no more miles left on her. But anyway, yeah, this is just a day in the life. So this was them when everything was thriving and they were able to meet the demands of the community. So, just another picture of
station.com/WOPT to learn more. More than 1,000 people who relied on one Hinds County food pantry are wondering how they will make ends meet as the door closes. As our Rosalind Anderson reports, the Felicia Newman food pantry is no longer a food source for families in need.
I just found this pantry just last month.
This is Kim Upton's first and for now last visit to the Felicia Newman Food Pantry. It closes after 10 years of serving thousands in 4 counties. Upton is disabled and says she will now have to choose between bills and groceries.
I really don't know what I'll do beyond this point when they close. And whenever I finally found I needed help and came, these folks are a blessing, and they will be missed in this community.
The pantry serves over 1,200 people each month. A reduction in items from the Mississippi Food Network, declining donations, and building issues prompted the closure.
I found out, I think, last month, and I felt so bad.
67-year-old Shirley Callahan of Utica has been coming here for 3 years.
I'm going to try to do the best I can, maybe try to find another pantry if I can. If not, I'm going to have to go back raiding, like the old people raid them gardens.
Donations help stock the shelves and fill baskets for this final distribution.
51 through 60, you may get in line.
Pantry volunteer Joyce Wallace has been here since the doors opened in 2015. It's a hard day for recipients and the staff of volunteers.
We're going to miss the constituents and we're going to miss each other because we have become like a family. And the Newmans are some wonderful people, and we just pray that we all get back together.
The Newman Foundation is working toward reopening at another location in the future.
It's just a sad day in Terry, Mississippi.
In Terry, Rosalind Anderson, 3 on your side.
Most affordable generator company.
After 10 years of feeding the community, one food pantry in Terry is being forced to end operations. 3 on Your Side showed you earlier this year how it was struggling. The nonprofit, which feeds 1,400 people monthly, is discontinuing, with SNAP benefits being on pause in the coming weeks. 3 on Your Side's Rosalind Anderson gives you a closer look at the closure.
We will serve through November.
Newman Foundation.
So before this news clip finishes, just to give everybody a reminder that this is just at the end of last year. This is November of last year, 2025. And this is around the time that we had the government shut down and SNAP benefits were being cut. So hopefully everybody can kind of remember that dark time. So you had people waking up to getting their benefits cut, not getting any warning. Just, whatever you got last month was the last time that you were getting it. That was, this time period. People were having their, school funds, like continuing education. All of that was being cut at this time. So this is that time period. So a whole lot is going on in the government, which is trickling down to these type of programs. So I'm going to go ahead and let this finish, but I just wanted to set that up a little bit.
CEO Tyrone Newman looks at the bare shelves of the Felicia Newman Food Pantry.
Now, y'all heard her say bare shelves, and then you can kind of even see it in the background. Like the picture that I showed earlier, that shelf in the background had food going all the way up to the ceiling. It was completely fully stocked, and they have a lot of bare shelves in there now. And we'll also see this on the clip that I'm going to share from IAG Farms. But it's a stark difference from when they were thriving up to this point.
As it prepares to close its doors. The Terry nonprofit says a reduction in food supplies from the Mississippi Food Network, declining donations, and building issues led to the decision. It once received 4 pallets of food from MFN. It's now down to 1 to be stretched among the 4.
So they just said that they used to get 4 pallets of food from the place that was supplying them. Their biggest contributor was sending them 4 pallets of food, and it had gotten down to 1 pallet. So the pallet was not enough to keep them serving the community. It had gotten to the point where they could only, it would be first come, first serve, and that's it. They would have to turn people away. And, it didn't have to end like this. If community was able to, and I'm not saying they are, because if you're in a community that's hurting, then the amount of people that would be able to help may be smaller. But that would be the only way that they would be able to survive through something like this, is for the community to take up where the supplier could not meet that demand. I'm going to let this finish, but I did want to read some of this real fast. So it says the Newman Foundation Food Pantry, also known as the Felicia Newman Food Pantry in Terry, Mississippi, did not shut down for just one reason. It was a combination of financial and supply problems that built up over time. Number one, there was a major drop in the food supply, which is what I just mentioned. The pantry relied heavily on the Mississippi Food Network, and their shipments dropped sharply. So it didn't just, go from 4 pallets to 3. It went from 4 pallets to 1. A drastic decline. Declining donations. The community donations also fell off, which made it harder to restock the shelves. So we'll see this later in the clip that I'm going to show towards the end, but he does explain on IAG Farms that they do get donations from the community as well. So even though you're getting those 4 pallets, he also had things set up with outside sources to provide items that weren't on the pallets. And, just say for instance something is duplicated, then you have more of that you could offer to the community. So they were depending on the community as well as not just that supply chain, as well as they also needed the community to help them keep the doors open. Then it said that the pantry had building problems, which also added to it. It does not specify what the building problems were, but they have already mentioned that they do want to try and reopen in the future in a different location. So something with that particular location was not working out for them anymore either. So it's just like you can see a culmination of things coming to a head at one time and creating the perfect disaster. So they had mounting issues that ultimately made them have to close their doors. Let's see what else I can see. So the bigger picture, funding cuts plus higher demand. So they had funding cuts, the government, and then they also were having a higher demand. The demand is now higher for what we've already seen in the other news clip, government cuts. The government is creating a situation where they're taking funding and also placing more people in need of food. Horrible position to be in. So now the amount of people that you were serving probably doubled or tripled, but your supply literally got cut off. So you're not able to sustain. Let's see what else. Cuts in federal food programs, USDA, SNAPs related support. All of that was cut out. SNAP, I believe, is food stamps, but it also may be, what do you call it? Like, what is it? TANF, I think, where you get a small amount of money also, so you can, I would be lying if I said I knew what it was for, but I'm going to assume, for anybody that's unemployed, to help you pay a bill. If it's a young mother, to help with diapers, things that the food stamps will not allow for you to get. So they were able to get a small amount of money along with food benefits, and all of that was cut off. So you have people out here who have no resources on both ends. They can't go to the food pantry, nor do they have the funds coming in that were at one point coming in, because SNAP benefits would not just be for this situation, but also for them to go to the grocery store. So if you don't have the finances to go to the grocery store, you're going to look for a food bank. And then if you can't, there's no food bank, you're out of options. So it highlights a lot with IAG Farms, but we'll get to that because they're at the end of this. So this is right now just talking about the food bank that they donated to one time, just one time. This is the food bank, and this is the large corporation that he talked about when he went to pick up the pigs. This is it. This is the only one. There has not been others. So this is who he was bragging about donating to. And we'll, like I said, we'll get to all that in a minute. So it says they had less food coming in, but more people showing up, which is what I just, skipped ahead to. I didn't realize it was going to say that. So, excuse me. To sum it up, it's saying, excuse me, reduced food shipments from the Mississippi Food Network, declining donations overall, facility and building issues, rising demand versus limited supply. So all those things is what came together to make them have to close their doors. So I'm gonna let this finish
or counties
out.
It serves.
We have seen a little more than a 40% reduction. We do rely on other services. We have different fundraisers and community support.
The pantry isn't alone in its struggle, but MFN officials say none of the other more than 300 pantries they serve have closed.
What Mr. Newman is experiencing with his food pantry, other food pantries are experiencing, and of course us as well. The need is growing. They're having more and more families come into them for assistance, and food levels are dropping through some of the federal programs.
Now the lady that just spoke, I have another clip coming from them, but she is representing the, the Mississippi Food Network, where they were getting the 4 pallets. That's who she's speaking for.
MFN is relying more on community support. Atmos Energy recently donated more than $122,000 to the food bank. Meanwhile, the Terry Pantry hopes to eventually return.
We're going to do what I'm calling a reorganization to reopen.
In Terry, Rosalind Anderson, 3 on your side.
They said they're going to do a reorganization to reopen, and I believe that they will try to do that, because where they were able to assist a lot of people in that surrounding area. So I know that the impact of them no longer being there is felt, and they were there for 10 years. If you heard in the news clip, it said that they were established in 2015. So, and they just went out of business the very end of last year. Last November was their last time of donating food. So, 10 years of operation. So I don't see people being in that position for 10 years and successfully helping people and then just giving up on everything that caused them to have to go out of business. And if they do reopen those doors, I know that the comeback would just be that much greater. It has to be, because now they're coming in with even more knowledge and experience than what they had when they first established this location. And you can tell that they have a giving heart. So this is just clips from the Mississippi Food Network where they were getting the 4 pallets. This is some of the research that I got of them.
Pounds of food a month that comes in and goes out. This is in addition to doing what we do every day.
Mississippi Food Network taking on more responsibility with the uncertainty of SNAP benefits. Today, the Trump administration agreed to give SNAP recipients partial benefits during the government shutdown, but MFN says they still have a lot of work to do. Thanks for joining us tonight at 10. I'm Megan West.
And I'm Troy Johnson. Thousands of Mississippians rely on SNAP, leaving local leaders to work to try to make sure that families are being fed. 16 WAPT's Brooklyn Joyner has more tonight on how the organization is making sure that no family goes hungry. Brooklyn.
Troy, Megan, Mississippi Food Network told me that they plan to dip into their holiday food supply to support federal workers as well as SNAP recipients. Monday, containers and piles of groceries were dropped off at Mississippi Food Network. Interim CEO Cassandra Mobley says donations have been on the rise since SNAP benefits were set to stop.
Some of these foods you see behind me are from individuals who had Instacart actually deliver groceries to us. We've had several deliveries of groceries today through Instacart, which...
So she's saying Instacart delivered some food to them. So, you know, they're set up the exact same way that the Newman Foundation was. They're receiving donations as well and then dispersing them. But they also rely on the community. And so she said that there were people who, the way she's announcing it lets you know that it's not an everyday occurrence. But she was impressed by the fact that people were even sending groceries through Instacart. I know that the majority of you know what Instacart is, but for the ones that don't, it's where you can download an app on your phone and order groceries for your home and have them delivered like a pizza. And so people, instead of having groceries delivered to their home, were having groceries delivered to this food bank, which that's a lovely thing. Hopefully you all can remember the news back then and just what it felt like. First of all, people are finding out at the last minute that their benefits are being cut. Then you have a government shutdown, so people are no longer drawing a paycheck. But then this is also around the holidays, so this is Thanksgiving and Christmas time. And you know, I've said it before that I don't personally celebrate holidays like that anymore. Now I do still, I'm with family, friends, all of that, but I don't put emphasis on just the meal part of it and pretty much gluttony. I try to find the importance of things. If we're celebrating Thanksgiving, what am I thankful for? Yes, I want to be around family. I'm thankful for family. I'm thankful for my history, my heritage, all of those things. But I don't have to be thankful for a turkey or for the dressing. So I'm hoping that during this period, people were able to find food to eat to sustain their bodies, but also find the importance of life. You know, because we can put emphasis on the wrong things. I couldn't even, you know, provide Thanksgiving dinner for my kids this year. But did you all eat? Like, focus on what's at hand, because a lot of these things that we celebrate, corporations have made us buy into, and then we start adopting them as tradition. Meanwhile, we're making somebody else's pockets fatter every year. The biggest contributor that I can think of is Black Friday. Black Friday was not always a thing, but I can remember its conception and how it has allowed people to profit every year, to the point that people feel like they have to participate in Black Friday even when they don't have the finances to do that. So this is the type of stuff that I'm talking about. My door swinging around. These are the type of things that I'm talking about, but I'm gonna go ahead and let her finish talking.
I thought was a really awesome thing.
But more pressure has been added to their daily routine. On top of assisting more than 100,000 SNAP recipients in 56 counties, with the reduction of SNAP benefits and furloughed federal workers, they are expecting more people will need food. Mobley said they are relying on partner agencies like churches to help fill those gaps.
We want them to let us know so we can fill in the gap. So we have some additional products that we're making available to our partner agencies as they let us know what they need. We don't by any means have enough to replace SNAP.
And although partial SNAP benefits will be paid instead of pausing them completely, Mobley says it still leaves them in a tough spot.
Don't know if that means that we need to let off on the gas of what we're doing. I don't think right now we're going to, because I don't know what that means. I don't know what it means time-wise.
SNAP benefits were put on hold on November 1st. The USDA says it could take weeks or several months to pay for reduced SNAP benefits using emergency funds. Sierra Fair of Jackson, who was once a SNAP recipient, said she's thankful the benefits were not cut altogether, but said it will still be tough to have less.
I feel for them, so I know it's hard, and we have to, a lot of people robbing Peter to pay Paul just to get by.
Mississippi Food Network also told me that their main priority will always be to provide for people who deal with food insecurity, but they said they can do that better with your help. To find out ways to make donations, you can visit our website at WAPT.com. I'm live at the Mississippi Food Network in Jackson. Brooklyn Joyner, 16 WAPT News.
Okay, y'all. 1 second. Let me get this swinging door. I was trying to enjoy the cross ventilation and the weather today, but I forgot to put my bungee cord on there, and it would take too long right now since I'm in the middle of recording, so I'll handle that later. But so this is another picture from the inside of the Mississippi Food Network. So it says that they were founded in the 80s, and of course they're a non-profit. They're located in Jackson, Mississippi, and I don't think there's anything else substantial to, let's see, no, 56 well, they service 56 of Mississippi's 82 counties, so that's major. That's over half. So there's clearly another one there that I'm not aware of, but they supply 56 of the 82 counties in Mississippi, so that's well over half. So that was impacting a lot of the state by them being affected, and it trickling down to the local food pantries. So this again was just, things that I researched to give a broader picture, this is more pictures of the Food Network, Mississippi Food Network. Look at all those fresh vegetables and stuff that they were able to provide for people. Fresh fruits and vegetables, should I say. And everything looks so nice and neat and clean, like you wouldn't go there and get food and feel like you were getting a hand-me-down or something that was about to expire that nobody else wanted. You can tell that this place was getting food that was still had shelf life. And that's a really nice thing to see. It's not scraps from somebody's table or something that another person would want to discard. That's really nice to see. And that's, you know.
All right, y'all, it's official. We have our freezers.
You can just see the abundance that they had, that they were able to pass along to the community. And it's so necessary when you're talking about, because what does it say here? It says that they 2.3 million pounds of food monthly. I can't even fathom that. 2.3 million pounds of food monthly is what the Mississippi Food Network was dispersing to the food banks. 163,000 people served each month. Just, you know, do that math for a minute. That's them, because they only were responsible for a certain amount of counties. So there's someone else out there that had the other counties that was having to do the same thing. But that's how many people were relying on their success so that other people could keep their success. So now we're going to get into the IAG part of all of this, and, you know, just bring everything full circle for this community of people, and, you know, how we knew about the Newman Foundation in the first place. So this is Tim, and, well, this is the whole family, really. This is when he's going to pick up, he's already gone and picked up the meat, but this same day when it picked up meat that he had processed, and then they're going to take donated meat to donate it. This is the first time Tim ever took us on a journey with him to donate food. This is the first time we've ever seen Tim donate food. This is the first time Tim ever went somewhere and donated food. This is the only time Tim showed us him donating food. And I have to keep putting emphasis on that, because Tim keeps telling his version of events. He keeps trying to rewrite history, even though he still has history recorded out there. So it's like he's taken a completely different approach to what we know to be true. He's telling it from a different angle, a different perspective. Like it's two separate situations, and it's not. So he said that they donate to large corporations. The large corporation would have been the Mississippi Food Network. That's the large corporation. Then when it trickles down to the smaller ones, that's where you get the Newman Foundation. Tim donated to the Newman Foundation one time, and that was it. He didn't donate to anybody else. He said that was their mission, their goal. And after you see all the news reports that I just showed, you can see where it's necessary for the community to support the less fortunate. But that's not what they did. And it's misinformation, really just flat out lying for him to keep pretending like they did that. They didn't. They could have done more. Now, for the amount of people that is saying they're underserved, of course, IAG Farms cannot meet that, solely by themselves. But they could do a better job of what he said God called him to do. And if he were actually acting 100% in what God told him to do, who knows how many people they could actually be helping to feed. If God gave him that vision, then God gave him the provisions for it. Tim is out there showing how to put skirting on the bottom of a house wrong, when he said his calling was to feed the masses, the less fortunate. He talked about meat, he talked about fruits and vegetables, yet and still he has not done any of that. He's still trying to plan the perfect timing to start a garden. He's that double dutch that I said, just trying to figure out when can I jump in, when I can, him stuttering. When can I jump in? Now. Jump in now. This is when people need it, is now. So I'm going to go ahead and let these clips of that episode play. And it's not the full episode. I just highlighted certain parts of it. Anybody that wants to, you can go back and watch the full episode on their channel. But I'm highlighting certain parts of it. And that's all.
All right, y'all, it's official. We have our freezers full. This freezer over here is full.
So they are going to donate some meat, but he's also doing the same as we just saw in the one that I covered live yesterday, bragging about this food and how full their supply is at home.
All right, y'all, it's official. We have our freezers full.
So he said their freezers are full, and their freezers are full. Their freezers are full. That's full of meat. He went and had meat processed, and I didn't show him going to pick it up, but that particular episode, he went and picked it up by himself, and he was trying to find places to put meat. He had meat coming out of the pores of that vehicle. So they have meat on top of meat out there. So I'm just saying the amount of giving that could be going on if they were actually running that farm the way that he said God told him to do. The amount of times that they could be going to the processing plant and being able to have food that would keep a food pantry going. The rotation of that, because we see how those pigs are producing out there. If Tim had been focused on that from the time that he got out there, from the time that he said God told him to do that, then by now the rotation would be serious of processing meat and donating. And then the amount of meat that would be donated and the amount of meat that they could keep would still be one and the same. But he'll go one good time and have meat processed and then, hold off for 6 months and then go do it again. 6 months here, 6 months there, instead of it being a constant rotation. And that's why I'm saying he brags about things, but the only thing bringing in money for them is YouTube. They have not figured out how to monetize their farm to be able to make a profit, to keep it going, to put into their household, and to put into the community. He doesn't even care about that. He's left that responsibility for his children while he just lollygags and does what he wants to do. So he's bragging about his freezers being full. I'm going to get back to this clip.
This freezer over here is full, and this freezer is full.
I was trying to catch that freezer open because I just...
All right, y'all, it's official. We have our freezers full. This freezer over here is full, and this freezer.
I hate to see a person brag when the surrounding area is suffering. The surrounding area is suffering, and you're bragging about your freezers being full. Tim and Megan were once those people having to go to the food bank. They've talked about it, so I'm not making this up. I didn't have to go and research it. He has told us that. She has told us that. They were those people. So how do you forget so easily? This is not, he's bragging. He's being very boastful right here. And his community is suffering. The Mississippi Food Network is in Jackson, where they now live. The Newman Foundation is in Terry, where they came from. Well, no, let me take that back. They live in Edwards now. They moved from Jackson, and his mom lived in Terry. But these are all still connected with their stomping ground. So IAG Farms is supposed to be about this entire subject right here. And that's not what they do. We watch Megan messing up meals. We watch Tim degrading his family. We watch the boys slaving to keep their deep freezers full. We watched Tim put his mom to work. We've watched construction on homes. We've watched contractors come out and do things to the houses. We've watched stuff with rocks and trees being cut and everything but this. And this is supposed to be, this very subject is supposed to be why they exist in the first place. This was his selling point for getting views. And it's the last thing that they do. They do not donate meat. Yet again, I wouldn't want any of it, but they don't donate any meat. So he's bragging about his full deep freezers. He has no worries in the food department. He has options for years, not days, for years. He has a stockpile of meat. He has many options.
It's full, and then we also have, let's not forget about 80 pounds.
About 80 pounds. He loved, like, that voice, when that voice takes over, that's a boastful, bragging voice. And here he is with that link sausage looking nasty in the refrigerator again. But that's a lot of meat. Their family is a growing family. Megan doesn't even feed them like that. She feeds them starvation meals. They don't eat hearty meals. So this is overflow, which is what he said he was going to start donating.
There's a sausage that we got in the refrigerator that has to be smoked and put in packages as well. But we'll worry about that sausage later.
I was trying to pause on those pictures. I'm not going to go back, but the pictures on the refrigerator that have been up there for months now of another family and not his own. And I'm going to say it just because it's fact. Tim has highlighted, I don't know if it's one or multiple Caucasian families on his refrigerator. And Tim is a black man. He will not display any of his own family. None of his own family. But he displays a Caucasian family on his refrigerator as if to say, this is my family. That's what we do in our houses, right? Our family things are highlighted. But that's not what he's done. He's highlighted a Caucasian family. And I don't know if he's trying to brainwash himself to make himself feel like that's who he is. But the more that I pay attention to Tim, that's how he operates. It's like that's the angle he wants everybody to take of him, is that that's what he is. But that's not the point of this video, so I'm going to go on.
We got to figure out where we're going to put that at. We need a third freezer in our rotation, and I think we have room for it. So
been on the road for a while, and we are super excited to be headed to the Newman Foundation. Y'all, this is a dream come true for us. This is some years, we can remember years ago when we cut up our food stamp card. You know, we shared our testimony before about how
carts. Let people take the carts.
I know my editing was horrible right there, but I just wanted to highlight that she said that they used to get those benefits and that they cut up their card and decided that they no longer wanted to receive benefits because they felt like what they were getting was less than. You know, in some situations that can be the case, which is why I highlighted the Mississippi Food Network and what their quality of food looked like. because I'm by the grace of God, and I do mean that, by the grace of God, I have not had to go to a food bank. But I have heard people talk about food banks, and so I know from personal conversations that they're not always satisfied with what they get. So to see anything that looks like it would be presented in a grocery store for you to purchase, and they're giving it to you, says a lot for that place. It says a lot for the relationship that they've built with another place to be giving quality items and not something that people would be ready to throw away before they open their mouths to eat it. So now we're here at the Newman Foundation, and this is the place that was highlighted first in the video that has now gone out of business. This is Tim and Megan going to donate food. So to set up the timeline, they went and did this in August of 2025. The Newman Foundation had to shut their doors in November of 2025. So just, that's the time period that we're in right there, that very small window. So when they go in here to donate this meat, this place is already on its last leg. And I cannot remember the full story of how they came to be here. I don't remember if it was Megan's relationship with these people or his mom's relationship with these people, because it's in Terry where Tim's mom used to live. But somehow they came around to realizing that they needed to go and donate some meat. Tim is not in there, and this is my opinion, I don't believe he's in there out of the kindness of his heart. He saw that he heard the doors were about to close, that they were struggling, and now he wants to give some meat. He didn't want to help keep it open. He wants to be a savior. This is his savior complex right here. You could look at the background behind Mr. Newman and see that it's barely surviving. It looks nothing like any of the pictures and videos we've seen. The shelves are bare. Like this is the struggle period right here. This is the drop down in pallets and the lack of donations from the community. So as Tim is puffing his chest up and making himself look good, just keep that in mind. This place is on its last leg when he decides to finally go donate some meat. They're about to close. This is August and they close in November. When that place closed in November, they knew then that they probably weren't going to be open much longer. And I'm sure had a conversation about that with them off camera. So Tim and them were not, I'm going to let it play and then commentate on the things said.
Get a free box, there you go. And then they just go around and shop and get what they want.
Yeah, so you got the number of items.
You got the number of items. See the yellows? See the yellows? Say one. Yeah. The oranges, that's two.
There you go.
And then they can get that. And so if you shop, usually we have bread. This would usually be full of case of.
He's saying usually we have this, usually we have that. So he's showing the spaces for things. There's nothing on those shelves. Nothing. There's not, we're almost out of this, we're almost out of that. The shelves are bare. So he's just saying use your imagination. This is what this has been for 10 years. This is where we set this for 10 years. But they're hanging on for dear life at this point.
Bakery and pastry items, I guess. We have a partnership with Bimco Bakeries.
Okay, yeah.
So we get, every Friday, we get bread and bakery.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
So this is all the same. Mm-hmm. When you go to Walmart or something.
So the shelf is full of bread. Some brands more than others, but they're still able to get bread. And you know, bread is a thing that's easily donated. Bread products are easily donated. Bread is probably the easiest thing to come by that you will see in a donation place. When you start to see quality cuts of meat or meat period, because okay, so I'm not I'm not speaking from knowledge, so if y'all need to correct me, by all means, please do. I'm going off of things now that I have just seen on TV. But it usually looks like, a box of canned goods or dry goods. And so, to me, that's what I always thought a food pantry was, like stuff that had shelf life. When they actually did this episode, I was shocked, like, okay, you can actually go in there and get a full meal and something that you have to put on the stove. So, that was my ignorance. But bread it's just always been a staple. Like, I remember the first salon that I worked in, the owner of that salon, her husband was a bread delivery guy. He had a route that he would do. So that was how I knew that the bread places would donate bread, because of him. Like, I'm trying to remember the name of the truck that he drove, but I can't see it in my head. I can't see it. I want to say Ideal or something. I can't remember who he drove for, but they would donate bread anyway. That's what I'm getting to. So I knew that bread you can find bread, but I just didn't know about the other things, like going in there and you're actually going grocery shopping. I just always thought it was a prepared kit that they put together, and here, till they run out of them. That's what I thought. But like I said, if y'all know better, then please correct me, because I don't like to be putting misinformation out there. I'm going to go ahead and let him talk some more.
Same company based all of it.
There you go. Yeah.
No matter what it is. So
now you got a partnership with IAG Farms.
There we go. IAG is
oh my God.
Yeah.
Have you watched any of my videos? I think I sent you some.
And now you got a partnership with IAG Farms. Oh my God. Talking about partnerships, and this place is on its last leg. Here he comes now. This place is about to close. And see, that it ticks me off, because when I covered this video before, that's knowledge that I didn't have. Hindsight is definitely 2020. All you have to do is fast forward a few months from this, and they lock those doors for the last time. And he's talking about a partnership. And that's why he can say that so freely, because he knows he's not going to have to do this again. Not with them. Now, there are other food banks out there that are still open that Tim could donate to. He just chooses not to. So, yeah, this is just and back then people were talking about him for bragging about this meat and having this meat processed and not donating like he said they were going to do. So yet again, he felt pressured to do this. So he did it. And he recorded it that one time. And now he has turned that into multiple occasions. But it was just this one time. And anybody who has been here knows how he was being pressured to donate and do what he said that they were out there to do. And then he finally did it with, what we're about to see.
Back in the day, my wife always watched y'all.
Oh, for real? I didn't know that.
One of our friends here.
Now, he's supposed to be showing Tim the food, the setup. He is bragging on, Mr. Newman is bragging on how people can come and get the resources that they have, which is supposed to be what this is all about. Tim is still making it be about him. So Tim is talking about IAG Farms. Mr. Newman is talking about the foundation. He said, yeah, my wife watches you guys. He's just saying it in conversation. He's trying to get back to the reason at hand, the reason we're all here. Tim, ain't none of that. He's excited now. He don't give a care in the world about what this man is showing him and talking about. He keeps trying to make a shameless plug for this channel. And that's what I'm saying. He goes out into the community and tries to make himself be famous. Anybody can pick up a camera and get on YouTube and publish it. Anybody can make themselves be seen in front of other people. That's all Tim is doing. He's not on a major network where people saw some value in what they're doing out there and want to give them a paycheck for that. But that's how he treats it. Like he has this major deal somewhere. Not focused on the issue at hand whatsoever. It's all about Tim right now.
And this is what we allow people. They was able to get 4, which Monday didn't get 4 because I was trying to bring the freezers down to put more stuff in there. Yeah. There you go. So this they can take stuff off the shelves as they want it. Peanut butter, jelly. I have a
Now we're just now getting to a part of the video where you can see a few more things on the shelves than the first half of the tour. And this is more of what I have envisioned in my head, is the stuff that can sit on the shelves for a while and still be good. You know, canned goods and stuff that's in packages. So there's, I won't say an abundance of it, because if that's all that they have, then, you know, that's not an abundance. But we can see where they were still able to provide some things. And then this could be that one pallet that we're seeing, because it didn't say exactly when they started getting the one pallet, but they said that it had been reduced to that. So this could be that phase already of them just putting out what they're getting and trying to, you know, stretch it for as long as they can.
A couple that come from Clinton. Yeah, okay. And they make jelly, fresh jelly for me every month. Okay. So I wait till I get enough to put it on.
So he's talking about a place that makes fresh jelly for him. And he said he waits till he gets enough and then he puts it out. So this is a mom and pop operation, the same as Tim and Megan would be considered. And he does not, they're donating as they can. And, you know, making jelly and all that is a process. So they're donating it as fast as they can. But he doesn't put it out until he can offer enough to enough people. That's what he's saying. This is a thoughtful person. He doesn't want somebody to be left out. So let me keep this here until we have enough of it, and then I'll put it out. That's what he just described. A very thoughtful person. This is who you want to be in charge of giving, because you know it's going to be fair. You walk in there knowing that they're treating you fairly. They see you as a human being that is just down on your luck at the moment, but they see you and they still want to treat you with that same respect. They're letting you know trouble does not last always. This is a season. But he's dealing with somebody that's the exact opposite of that, which he's going to prove throughout this clip.
Yeah. We're glad to be a part of it. Grapes, you got grapes, right? I don't know how much stuff you have, but I got this one. I can take those items out.
So he's showing him a deep freezer now that he's saying that they could possibly put the meat in. Because the first freezer he showed him, he said that they have a limit on the meat. I think it was to two choices, but he had raised it to 4 because he was trying to get the amount down to create space, but it was still full. So that to me says that it hadn't been that many people to come through yet. It's still full. So now he's showing him other options, like, well, we have this available, the deep freezer. So You know, I don't know if Tim has a certain type of feeling about this or not, because his meat is not going to be highlighted in a glass door, but he's still showing him the options that they have.
Okay, well, I got some more. My wife, she's pretty good at stacking it. Okay.
Now, he's showing him this deep freezer and saying, this is an option right here, you know, and so we can't see in it, but, you know, they look down in there, and Tim volunteers Megan. Oh yeah, my wife can stack it. She's pretty good with that at home. Tim tempts me to cuss him out. And these reactions on a regular. I'm not a cusser. I will cuss, but I'm not a cusser. He makes me want to, though. So many times Tim makes me want to cuss him out. And in this very moment will be one of them. Number one, they're there to donate meat to this foundation. Now, they run off of volunteers, so of course people are coming in to help them run their operation free of charge. So if you're donating meat and you can help me put this meat up, then by all means. But Tim is volunteering Megan and not himself or the family as a whole. My wife, you're pretty good about stacking it up. You simple, silly, lazy, fat, narcissistic. Ugh, I could go on and on and on. But I digress. You do it. How about you do it? Stop saying what your wife could do. How about you do it? You're there to donate. That does not just mean the meat. That's of your time too. That's what I'm saying. Two men in this corner, and they are stark differences of each other. You have a very generous, warm-hearted person. Then you have a reptilian. Ugh.
I think I have this one framed.
And I used to say it all the time, and I hadn't said it in a while. It used to irritate me to see Megan and Tim out somewhere with their children, and the boys always in the way. They don't raise children. They don't. If those children are fussed at, it's going to be about something that irritated Tim because it wasn't to his liking. But they don't raise their children. They're not raised with respect and manners and reading the room and all those type of things. They are always in the way. Always. They have no sense of presence. Like I could possibly be in the way. And then their parents don't teach them to monitor, engage, am I in the way? They have yet to this day to tell them move. Move. Get out the way. Back up. Or Tim, bag up. They don't do those things. We just watched him drop a heavy ice chest at Benjamin's feet. They don't do that. And here's another perfect example. Look at Noah. He's standing there like Mr. Newman is talking to him, and he's not. Move. Thank goodness he's tall enough to clear Noah, but please move. Get out of people's way. Like that's how my children were raised. That's how I raised them. So now at their grown ages, they won't just be oblivious to what's going on around them, thinking that they are the center of attention.
Yeah, so I have some space up here.
Plenty of room, yeah.
Big old giant trees I got back here. But there's most likely about 4.
Oh yeah, that's a big space.
Yeah. Then I got this one back here. Yeah. So I should be able to find some room. There you go. See my back area? I love back area.
So yet again, they're going throughout the tour, and he's giving them the options of where their meat donation can go. So he's, giving the grand tour of everything, and then narrowing down where they may want to put the meat that they're bringing in. So that's what all of this is. I'm not finished with the clip, but this, for the people that are newer to this situation, is the entirety of their donation. This is, yet again, the large corporation that they donate to. And that is singular, not plural. It's just singular. Corporation. Tim put an S on it. He was being generous. But history shows that this is it.
Yeah. Sounds good. So you ready to get unloaded? Yeah. Let me grab this. Yeah, there you go. Unloader. Come back and get over. Okay.
So they have 2 ice chests of meat that they bought out there. So this is the first go around of the meat that Tim is donating. They went out there and got the first ice chest. This table area that Tim is placing that meat on is the same area where they were feeding those people that I pointed out earlier on in the video.
I told him to package sausage in like 2 okay. I told him to package the sausage in like 2 or 3 pounds, but they have it right.
So did y'all hear that? He said, I told them to package the sausage in 2 or 3 pounds, but they didn't do that. They left the sausage the same as they would with the way that they take it home. And I don't know that he told this place that, because he wouldn't have paid for it if they hadn't given him what he asked for. We know how he is. They packaged it how he wanted it. And it would have been up to Tim and Megan to do the same thing that they do at home and make those smaller portions, because he didn't ask for that. I know he didn't. To package that meat into smaller packs means more work, which I'm sure means a higher bill. And we know Tim was not going to pay more money for something he's giving away. That's not his character. He's not going to pay more money for something that he's giving to somebody else. So he didn't tell those people to package it smaller. Otherwise, they would have done their job and done that. And then we would have heard before now from him, they didn't even do what I asked them to do. We trying to get his meat away, and they didn't even package it small enough. But then now we also know that he purposely has Megan do that for these reasons, but it's not for donation, it's to sell. Not for donation, but to sell. Not for donation, but to sell. And he'll probably say here in just a minute why I feel like that.
You got it. Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, possibly.
I probably could, not now, but I got, I don't know if I might, I don't know, maybe I'll do it that way.
But you got a vacuum seal?
I wish I did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. This is us.
Because I didn't want to handle it.
This is pork, is that right? Pork.
But I didn't want to handle it myself, because we have vacuum sealers. We vacuum seal our own personal meat. Right. I didn't want to handle it like
once they had done.
So right here, he's saying that he didn't want to handle it. They handle their own meat and they vacuum seal it, like what he's talking about. But he didn't want to handle this meat because they're giving it away. And so that's why I feel like the other meat is meat that they sell. He's talking about donated meat, and he's trying to equate it with them handling it, but it really is the fact that he does not want to put that much into something that's not benefiting them. They're not going to gain money from it, and he's already spent what he was going to spend on it. So there's no way that he's going to keep up in the ante with this meat that is not benefiting him. he was able to get a video out of it. He drugged this out for a couple of videos. So I'm not investing anymore in this meat. So here, he just giving him those large amounts of meat. So since he's saying that to Mr. Newman is saying what he could do to make it smaller amounts so that it can, stretch. And of course be reasonable. Like, that is a lot of sausage for one family, and it could be stretched to help a lot of people. So that's why I don't think that what he said was true, especially not about asking them to package it, because they would have done it. We see how professional that place is. And so for you to suggest that they didn't do something you asked them to do is giving them a bad review. It's making them look bad by you inventing something, putting a bad reputation on that company by inventing an instruction that was never requested. We just show a detailed list of the things that they wanted with this last meat that they went and had processed. Somebody's feeling good today. It is a nice day outside, but anyway, it just makes me not believe anything that Tim says because of that.
Exactly right, because everything they do, is USDA certified. Exactly. I don't want to put my hands on the nozzle, but donate. Right. Right. Yeah. So y'all got one full whole hog. This is a whole hog, everything. Yep.
However you want to do it, if you want
Okay.
to just go back and forth.
You just pass it to him. That way he can stack it. Yeah.
Y'all gonna hear some music in the background. Somebody is, I guess, outside barbecuing or something. It is a nice day, but anyway. So now they're at the point of taking the second portion of meat out, and you see who he put to work. For the smaller batch of meat, he used his fat, greasy hands. For this ice chest that's full to the brim of meat, he's putting Megan to work. So this still goes back to him volunteering her earlier on, saying, oh, she does it at home. She know how to stack meat. Like, that takes a genius to do that, when all you're doing is literally stacking meat and putting it in a category. The same as it is in this ice chest. Who doesn't know how to do that? But that's neither here nor there. So he has Megan working. Now he goes and grabs the camera, like they don't have boys there in the way that could not film them all during this process. He irritates my soul, and I can never put enough emphasis on that. But let's go on.
I guess Brother Newman said, you probably can stack it better than I can.
And there he is, trying to make them swap positions by saying, Brother Newman is probably saying, you can stack it better than I can, talking about Megan. He wants to see her in a woman's place. We have a man here being a man. First of all, this is his business. He's putting that meat up. This is how much he cares about the product that he's giving to people. That's how much care he puts into where it's placed, so that he knows what's in there and how much is in there and what to do with it. He's keeping account of what's going on in his business. He's not just leaving it up to Megan to start throwing meat in different places. Like, can y'all imagine getting a shipment of something and making somebody else go put it up and you don't even know what all is over there? He has to have a general idea of what they can give out. The same as he was just talking earlier about the jellies and waiting till he has enough to put them out. Well, how much of this do I have? How much of that do I have? And then put it wherever it needs to go and know how far you can spread that. All of those things are important for your business. It's important for your reputation. It's important for the care of the people that you're serving. And Tim is only worried about roles, gender roles that he has up here in his head. Little House on the Prairie. And then not even just Little House on the Prairie, but constantly being demeaning to his wife. She should be doing this work. That's why I took my hands off of it. You see, I'm over here. You should switch roles with her. You should dig in my ice chest and hand her to me while I record y'all. I'm over here making money off of y'all now. At this point, it's IAG. We had to get back to it at some point. This is all about God. It's not all about donation. It's all about God. And when I say God, I'm just saying the channel, because it's really all about Tim. But I'm going to let this go some more.
He's pretty organized. Because I would just be throwing it in there, be falling out, and I'd be closing the doors and falling out.
Yeah, maybe if I close it, it'd be falling out. He's trying to build up a reason why he shouldn't do it. And we know that he does not feel like there's anything he can't do. But he will make himself look horrible at doing a certain job if he feels like it's for a woman. Oh, that's why I wouldn't do that. If I did, it would be falling out the door. So first of all, he has to make himself accountable for why he's no longer helping them and this other man is still working. Then he also is having to double down on why he feels like Mr. Newman, should listen to him and make Megan do what he thinks Megan should be doing. Yet again, Mr. Newman has yet to pay him any attention. He's back there having his own conversation. He's laughing and entertaining himself, and he's being the buffoon that we all know he is. And I'm going to bag it up just a little bit so we can hear him say it again.
So y'all got one full whole hog. This is a whole hog, everything.
Everyone do it.
Okay.
You want to just go back and forth?
You just pass it to him. That way you can stack it.
If I don't stop it, I'll forget. So they said that they donated one whole hog. I didn't watch the beginning part of this one. Like I said, I've covered it before, but I didn't watch it this time. So I don't remember how many animals they had processed on this trip. But let's just say, for instance, like with this last one, that they had 5 or 6 that they took to the processor, and they only allowed one of them to be donated. How gluttonous is that? How gluttonous is that? And we saw what their deep freezers look like at home. So you couldn't donate 2 pigs to other people? I just wanted to say that. I still want us to focus on what I was talking about earlier, but I just had to get that out because he loves to talk about the donations of IAG Farms, and he's very stingy with everything he does.
I guess Brother Newman said, you probably stack it better than I can. Nah, he's pretty organized. Because I would just be throwing it in there, be falling out, and I'd be closing the doors and falling out. Come around this way. So what do y'all do back in this section? Do y'all use this big long table for anything?
We do, on Mondays, Walmart stuff comes in.
Oh, that's where you kind of put it in and sort it. I guess. There you go.
Sausage first. And items. Okay, get 2 of them, 1 in each hand, pass them in.
So Megan had to get the boys involved to get an assembly line going, which they should have been doing that. By all means, help. This is definitely something that a child can handle, and it will help the process go faster. While fat, meaty Hands is over there recording everything, being what he is, a lump of nothing.
Sausage.
Patty sausage. You let him go, Tim?
Take a couple pictures.
Yes, sir.
You know, for my,
So Tim Jr. was holding Benjamin. He said, you can let him go, Tim. Basically saying, let Benjamin go. He'll be okay so that you can help work. Now, I don't disagree with the fact of go help work, because if your brothers are doing it, go on over there so we can get this process finished. But somebody has to watch Benjamin, and he knows that his parents don't do it. So I just talked about this in the last video, but now we can go back in history and see how they don't watch their child, and how the older son is always picking up cues to let me go get my little brother. He just had his hand. If y'all rewind, I'm not going to go back, but if you rewind, you can see him holding Benjamin in one place while everything is going on. They shift to a different angle. Junior follows everybody, but he's still maintaining Benjamin. Somebody has to. Tim says you can let him go so you can go help work, but it doesn't mean you can let him go and I will watch him. It definitely doesn't mean that. We saw on vacation what leaving Benjamin with Tim would do. Benjamin was headed to the woods, and they all in the house minding their business.
But this is a ministry. This is what we do. So, amen. We're part that you all are part. We was watching, my wife could literally watch you all online. That's right. We've been watching the process, especially my wife. Truly. She's a Facebook person.
He's talking about IAG Farms. This is Tim's cue to be everything but humble. He's gearing up. Oh, he's tickled to death now. He's feeling some type of way. All right, now I'm getting my notoriety. We're not here to just donate. I'm here to get my daily dose. And, you know, Megan has to puff that chest up. That's what's happening for him right now. And every time that Mr. Newman will try and head in a different direction, Tim is going to keep him where he wants him just long enough to get inflate that ego some.
And that's most of our audience is late women. Yeah, we're like, because of the analytics tell us it's like 70% women, the rest men. Yeah, but most of.
I'm not going to stop this anymore. I'm going to rewind it to the beginning of this conversation, so that y'all can get it in its entirety. Mr. Newman said that about watching them because he was headed somewhere with what he had to say. You know, he's giving a compliment before he gets to why he's saying what he's saying. Tim veers him off of that conversation because he wants to keep it right there with, you open up the door, you gave me a crack, I'm about to step on into it. So I want to rewind it so that y'all can get the full scope of how I see it. But Mr. Newman was not talking about IAG Farms to stay talking about IAG Farms. He was starting that conversation to say something else. But the narcissist in the room had to, keep it going. Not too fast. Don't move too fast.
But this is a ministry. This is what we do. So, amen. We're part that you all are part. We was watching, my wife could literally watch you all online. That's right. We've been watching the process, especially my wife. Truly. She's a Facebook person. She watches. And
that's most of our audience is late women. Yeah, we're like, because of the analytics tell us it's like 70% women, the rest men. Right. Yeah, but most of the time it's like married couples, Wife be watching their husband walk in, sit down, you know how it goes.
Update.
There you go. Yes, sir.
We watch you all grow up. Mm-hmm. Truly. Watch you all grow up.
That's something though, because I didn't even know that y'all were watching. Because I send people like videos all the time, and some people watch, some people don't. But y'all.
Okay, I lied. I had to stop it again. Mr. Newman is still trying to get out what he wants to say. He has moved past that point. Tim wants to circle back around. No, Mr. Newman, you didn't keep it there long enough. I wasn't done. I thought you was going to make me feel a little bit better. He has moved on to the boys, and Tim is bringing him back. Now that's funny. He's bringing it back up. He doesn't have a giving heart. This is not a person that's there to donate anything. He wanted to shut up the reaction channel, so he went and donated one pig out of all of that they have. He went and donated one pig to shut us up, and it still didn't work because we were like, that's all? We've been waiting years for you and your God-given vision, and that's it? God told you to just donate one pig? All the preparation was just for one pig? That's us. But yeah, he had to circle him back around like, oh no, we ain't moving that fast. I don't know what you about to say to the boys, but let's bring it back over here. The channel is not about the boys. The channel is about me. Y'all watch them grow up because they was in my shadow. It's about me. We don't care about the boys.
Have been following us along for the whole journey. So when I called you, you already knew everything that was going on.
Y'all ain't following us along for the whole journey. So when I called you, you already knew what was going on. Basically, I'm famous. You already knew who I was before I even called you. I'm thinking I got to call and introduce myself. You already knew. That's not what Mr. Newman said. That's not what he said, but that's what Tim, that's the version that he wants to paint. That is what he wants everybody to draw from this moment. He's going to paint his own picture. He's going to inflate his own ego. If Mr. Newman don't give it to me, he gave me a cracked door. I'm going to walk on in it, and I'm just going to make my own presence known. Forget it. But we're not going to pass that moment too fast. We can pass it after I feel like I'm the HNIC. Whew, he's tiring.
That's something. Yeah. Hey, man.
You never know.
Mm-hmm.
You never know. People are watching.
Yeah.
You never know who's watching and what impact.
Mm-hmm.
You know, down the road you have what impact. You know, like a pebble.
Mm-hmm.
Drop a pebble in the water and it goes out, and then when it hits the end, it actually comes back. So you never know how your ministry affects other people.
Amen. I love it. So if anybody's watching this video and they would like to I probably can just leave those things, like, you know, you can send me, like, you know, any, whatever, however they can donate, however they can help. Like, is there any ways that you would like to tell them they could donate, they could help, they could assist?
Yeah,
What are some of the main things?
If there's someone that really want to donate and want to get our website, it is the Newman Foundation.
Okay, right there behind you. There you go.
Mm-hmm. The NewmanFoundation.org. And that will take them to the website, let them know what we're doing. So that is the best way.
And then what's the best way to leave those monetary or, you know, cash donations?
Yes, if you go online, then there is a way to pay with your credit card, that type of thing. So you can actually do it there. If not, you can mail your love gift to the Newman Foundation, P.O. Box 962, Terry, Mississippi 39170. That is P.O. Box 962, Terry, Mississippi 39170.
I love it.
So right here, I was just highlighting that this is when that was filmed. That's when all this took place. It's August the 22nd of 2025. So almost the end of August. So very, very close to them closing their doors. Very close to them closing their doors. And Tim was acting like there's this budding relationship happening and these people are on their last leg. Mr. Newman is standing there in that moment knowing that they won't be open much longer. There were news reports that went back to, it was one that I didn't share that went back to, I want to say it was April of 2025, where they were already talking about the impact that everything was having on them. I shared 2 clips, but there were 3, and I was meaning to share it. It accidentally got left out of everything, but it dated back to April. So they saw it happening. Like, what, 2.5 months later, they have to close their doors? 2.5 months after this, they have to close their doors. And I just thought that was, you know, it's sad because they were a staple in the community for 10 years. So this was some of their stats. And I'm just going to leave that up there. You all can read. But that's how they were able to help and service the community. And I also found this on the Newman's website. So I wanted to do this because, yet again, you all asked yesterday about the Newman Foundation. And I could not educatedly answer the question. I know educatedly is not a word, but it is today. I couldn't answer that, though. I didn't have enough knowledge. And So I wanted to research it and be able to, say what I know to be true. We joked about it possibly being the tainted meat, but I did want to bring facts. And so nobody got sick from any IAG Farms meat. But what I will say is that had IAG Farms and more people like IAG Farms stepped in long before he did, it didn't have to get to this point. Because even though the Mississippi Food Network were their biggest supplier, they were not their only supplier. And if a community of people come together, they can still keep something running and keep it going successfully. So had Tim and Megan been serious about this God-given mission and been donating meat on a regular basis, a monthly basis, like Tim talked like he was going to do. He talked about a partnership. He didn't partner with these people. It was a one and done situation. Not because the doors closed. That's all he ever intended on doing. How do we know that? The Newman Foundation is closed for the time being. I hope that they can get up and running, but for right now, they're closed. Tim has not talked about that on his channel. He has not given an update to say, we started a partnership, and unfortunately, they closed their doors, and they're no longer. He has not brought it up. He's done. He turned his back on that situation. He got his ratings from it. He got the payout from the videos. He's done with that. He's moved on to the next subject. This was just creating a narrative for him to sell long enough to make himself look good. So that is the reason that they are no longer open, which is just as sad as if, anybody had been made sick. So I still hold them, IAG Farms, partially responsible for not being more of who you say God told you to be. You found a place that you wanted to partner with, that you wanted to help, and you didn't do that. And it's in Terry, Mississippi. So it's a place that they knew about, and quite possibly a place that fed them. We don't know. We know that they've said that they went to food banks. They didn't say which one, but for all we know, that was one of them that they frequented before they didn't have to. But they knew about its existence, and they didn't donate before when they did. And they found it convenient to do it 2.5 months before they closed the doors. Out of 10 years of service, 10 years of servicing the community, we can form this partnership 2 months before you close. What does that say? So, knowledge is power, and now I know and we know why the doors were closed. We also know how IAG Farms could have helped to, even if they inevitably closed, they could have helped it run longer. They've talked about raising a garden. That garden could have been started sooner. They talk about being shepherds of God, and that's not what they're doing. They're not helping anybody. We're watching them help themselves. And if that's all you're going to do, then that's fine. Just be honest about it, though. Stop creating a narrative that you want to help the masses and we don't see you do it. Stop telling that story. Like, say that season is over and start a new independent season. It's that simple. So I'm going to go ahead and end this here, and I hope that you all were able to gain some knowledge from it. I know I did. My research definitely helped me gain some knowledge. I was not even so back when Endgame first announced it, I had a different job, and that job required a lot of my time. So even though I heard him say it was closed, I didn't even have time to research it or anything. It's just like knowledge-wise, okay, well, I know that they're closed, and I left it at that, you know. So when you all brought it back up, it's like, well, yeah, I do remember hearing that, but I really don't know why it closed. And so it's a full circle moment. Now we know. So I'm going to go ahead and end this here. I don't think that there's anything else that I need to mention. No. So that's it for this reaction. So I'm going to go ahead and get out of here, guys. And one of you all gave me the information for the video that I skipped. And I appreciate that, because I felt like I didn't react to the right one. But I didn't realize it completely until it was over. So I'm going to go back and cover that one as well. And that's where he's loading the pigs into the cattle hauler. So I am going to cover that video. But I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. And I will see you guys on the next one. Bye.